Welcome to the Power of Purpose. It is a blessing and a pleasure to be with you again, once again. As it is said, that some people, as you have heard me say, that some people have walked on thorns so that you can walk on the road carpet. So it is very, very important today, as we are going to discuss with my dear mother some very, very interesting project and background stories. Now, you have heard this, that to build a mansion, you start with the foundation. And this time we'll be talking about rebuilding lives. Some people have lost hope. Some people who feel, I may not amount to anything. I'm a reject to the community. I'm a reject to the family. And maybe I'm a reject to God. But there are people who have given themselves in rebuilding lives. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm blessed and I thank God for life.
Wonderful. I know you do so many wonderful things. But in a nutshell, there might be people who have heard you before or seen you. There may be those who might not have seen you or heard you before. May you just say your name and your background, how you grew up in terms of your personal life.
Thank you. My name is Pastor Esme Kisting.
Okay.
On my personal life background, I'm a 49-year-old widow with 2 sons.
Okay.
And I'm pastoring the church called the King's Daughters Church Ministry, and it's specifically for the rehabilitation of commercial sex workers.
Wonderful.
That's, in a nutshell, the background.
Now, talking about the project itself and as a ministry, but the project, you as a director of King's Daughter, can you give us the background of the project and your background as a director of the project on how it came to be?
Yes. I'm the founder and the director of the King's Daughters organization.
Okay.
And we started off with the project in 2006. Interestingly to mention, that there were 5 to 6 sex workers who by themselves decided and realized we do not want to sell our bodies any longer. And they came forward to seek help. And ironically, specifically here at CCN, that's where they came.
Yeah.
At that time, I was in the Protestant Pentecostal church, and they reached out to the church there and asked for a volunteer or somebody available.
Yes.
I was busy with counseling studies through the church as well as through Philippi Trust, and not in full-time employment.
Yeah.
And then I was available as per se.
Yeah.
So I was requested to start a Bible study group with these ladies.
Yeah.
Until they could put pieces together of how to go forward in helping these ladies. I think it was a one-of-a-kind request. Never before sex workers came forward and asked for help or would confess we do not want to sell our bodies any longer.
Yeah.
And that's the background of where King's Daughters organization started. In 2009, I legally registered the King's Daughters organization as a Section 21 organization company, not for gain. It's what we call an NGO nowadays. So, and from there we move forward in getting ways to help these ladies. It's important to mention that the aim of the project is to rescue, restore, rehabilitate, rebuild, all those things you can mention, these ladies, and to restore their dignity.
Yes.
And to let them know that they are fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of God, and that God loved them so much, and they do not have to sell their bodies any longer.
Okay.
That was the background.
Thank you so much, ma'am. People say that when a passion is built, it's built or discovered out of a tragedy that happens to a person. Some, they say passion is an inborn thing, that you are born with some kind of a purpose, and that is in relation to the passion. In this regard, what your passion for this project, King's Daughter, rehabilitating of sex workers, what was the background of your passion? Was it your inborn passion, or were there some tragedy that happened in your life that led for you to have the passion for humanitarian work?
It was a tragedy that happened in my life.
Okay.
In 2005, my husband died in a motor vehicle accident. The two boys were 10 years and 6.5 years. And if I say that we were devastated, that will be an understatement.
Yeah.
So out of this hurt, out of this devastation,
Yes.
came, I think out of that, King's Daughters organization was born.
Yeah.
Born to the sense that it's in just the next year, in 2006, that I was requested to start with this Bible study group with these ladies.
Yeah.
I must mention that many a times when we had this Thursday Bible study sessions, our pain connected.
Yeah.
My pain as a result of the tragic loss of my husband, their pain from what they went through, the reasons why they end up in sex work, what they endured in sex work,
Yeah.
and the loss of their self-image and their self-worth.
Yeah.
There was so much tears and so much pain, and yet our pains had different names, but pain remained pain,
Pain.
and that connected us. So it was born out of a tragic experience. But I believe in Romans 8 verse 28 that God would work that tragedy for good,
Yeah.
for me and my boys, because I love him. First, part of the first assessment process,
Yeah.
we would assess and see what is the involvement of alcohol and drugs.
Yeah.
And the first activity and the opportunity that we could secure was with Ministry of Health and Social Services, specifically the Social Services Division. And in collaboration with King's Daughters organization, they allowed us to have these ladies admitted in the rehabilitation. They call it Etigameno Rehabilitation and Resource Center at Brakwater.
Yeah.
The Ministry of Health's Center for Alcohol and Drugs Rehabilitation.
Yeah.
And there they had an inpatient program for 6 weeks, and our ladies was admitted there, and we could address this driver,
Yes.
namely alcohol and drugs.
Yes.
And in that process, help them to step away completely from sex work.
Yeah.
They follow the 12-step program there that really involves intense rehabilitation and with different services. So that was the first activity that we brought to the table.
Okay.
And also what followed next was very natural in the sense of these ladies now being successful in a 12-step, 6.5-week program on rehabilitation, they had to be supported to keep being sober.
Yes.
So we started the King's Daughters support group. Number one, for these ladies who came from rehabilitation, the support group, we were joined with the Comas social workers that the Ministry of Health also placed with our program. And through all that interventions, we could really assist and support these ladies to keep their sobriety rate very high. One of the other support group type of activities that flown out of King's Daughters over these years and that we are still doing was our involvement. One of the activities and skills-based opportunities we had, I need to mention first, was through a HIV prevention program for key populations. Sex workers are regarded as key populations. In the past, they were called most at-risk population. But that only showed about how the sexual risk behavior placed them as a key driver population for HIV infections. So in collaboration again with the Ministry of Health, even with USAID and SFH, we got involved and we got became a sub-awardee for an HIV prevention program specifically for key populations.
Yeah.
And through that, we were able to train our ladies who came out of rehab as community health counselors / HIV rapid testers, and we started a peer-to-peer HIV prevention program where our ladies go back to the streets, go back to under the bridge, peer-to-peer, with the ladies still on the street, there on the corner, there on the highway. And she could convince the other to come and be tested and know your HIV status, and to come and get on treatment. And for that, we again recreated a support group that we call the King's Daughters ARV Adherence Support Group. So those who has been tested and tested HIV positive, they had been linked through this HIV prevention program. They had been linked through the through ARTs, and those tested negative, remember they are still at risk, they has been linked with PrEP and those. But for them to also be support afterwards, we created that support group specifically. Remember, if we could get to encourage these ladies to take their ARVs on time, as it is in line with the current UNAIDS 95 goal for the global population, 95 of them to be tested and know their status. And the second 95 globally goal is for those being tested HIV positive to be on the ARTs. And for 95, the last 95 globally, that the HIV prevention industry, supported by the USA, the PEPFAR, and all those different donors, they want to reach the last 95 and all 395s by the year 2030, where the last 95 represent those on the ARTs to reach viral load suppression. So it was quite a huge engagement. It was quite a huge privilege to be part of the Namibian national effort of HIV prevention among sex workers. Another recently added support group leg is for the OVCs. Children being an OVC, where the sex worker is the mother, and also children living with these sex workers, they are regarded as OVCs, orphans and vulnerable children. Vulnerable in the sense that they have to grow up in this circumstances. And many a times you will see that the girl child, she will follow that, and that must be prevented. So this OVC program, there's something that I read a while ago, that the children of sex workers, they are the new vulnerable population. And so often we leave them behind. So our support group recently created was to help this particular child, even to enroll them with the social grant officers, where they can qualify to be supported by the ministry, $250 million per month, because the mother is the single parent, and many a time she doesn't have a work now, and doesn't earn less than 1,000, if any, and then these children can be enrolled, and that is what we do out of all these activities. Put in a nutshell, but I think there's really a big difference. With that, together we do art therapy, we do different skills trainings in collaboration with the American US Embassy programs, where they have computer training and all these. You must also remember that many of the lower level sex workers, they are many times not skilled at all. They are illiterate, and also are early school dropouts, as unwanted pregnancies was also part of the process. So that's what we do.
Thank you so much. As you have alluded that you start with a behavior change, and help them through their addiction, maybe be alcohol or drugs, and then you begin to give them skills. Do you normally give them some handy skills as well, like, you know, how to use their hands to sustain themselves?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Part of those include needlework training, and the art therapy is also very good to see how they are, with their hands, out of a piece of paper, can make a flower.
Yeah.
And with paint and everything, you will stand with a rose in your hand.
Wow.
And the aim is to have them being taught the skill and to sell those for them to get an income.
Wow.
But important to mention, through this HIV prevention program and the engagement, we were able to enroll our rehabilitated ladies, some of them, as community health counselors and HIV repatriators, and they are now full-time employed by King's Daughters organization. We were 10 on the payroll, and I think that's quite a huge achievement.
Yeah, it is.
Because not only by the grace of God we could get them from the streets, give them these kind of training opportunities and employ them.
Yeah.
So job placement is also part of our aim and part of the extra mile that we want to go. But I mean, in a country with such a high unemployment rate, it's not easy every day.
No, it's not
but
easy.
as said, we were privileged, and by the grace of God we could employ even some of them, and they are now fully employed, get a monthly salary, and go out and reach those that is still in sex work with this positive message.
Having all these wonderful things that you're doing to transform their lives, what are some of the challenges or some regrets that you feel? Are there some clients that you feel we didn't do much here? Maybe I've learned a lesson there. What were some of the challenges that you think can be regrets or as lessons?
I think the fact that some of them sometimes go back to the streets.
Okay.
As previously
Relapse.
mentioned, relapse, and default, you know.
Yeah.
And as previously mentioned, in a country where the unemployment rate is such high,
Yes.
and even educated graduates don't find a job easily, I think the ladies who get the message, this organization can help you and they can do all this and they really expect magic from King's Daughters organization. Okay. And many times we are not able to give them that magic. In fact, we can do nothing without God.
Yes.
John 15 verse 5.
Yeah.
And then they become irritated, frustrated, because remember, they left the streets and still they don't have an income.
Yeah.
In the past, she went from home to the street to return with a loaf of bread, and now she comes from, hallelujah, amen, at King's Daughters with nothing. And many times they would relapse back into sex work.
Yeah.
And the complaint is, after all this time, you couldn't give us a job. You couldn't organize for us a job. Yeah, so that I would regard as a failure, that we would so very much wish that it could be otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Now, besides the process to transform people, it's not like you're transforming stones or trees. In the process of transforming them, there is the part of choice.
Yes.
You know, and there's this inner choice. You show them the way, but there's also a battle when they leave the premises.
Yes.
The battle is the community where they live. So that is another battle, but we believe you're doing the best that you can to transform lives, and by God's help, you are doing such a wonderful, tremendous work. Can you share with us, are there some of the successes that you think you were quite excited about, that you look back at some people and you see the hand that fed us, that guided us, did a wonderful job? What are some of the successes?
There was one of the rehabilitated, trained and employed community health counselor employees of King's Daughters, where when she was now trained about the HIV prevention programs and the importance of HIV testing services. And that was the message that she also passed over to the others through interpersonal communication or SPCC programs. She realized that I also need to be tested. So she went to be tested and came back HIV positive. She was devastated, to say the least. And I must mention that she was afraid to even share the news with her family, her friends, her community. So she was hiding it for quite a long time. Our program manager, Eileen Lowe, went out of her way to support this lady and to encourage her to go back and get on the ARVs. They did that, and again the encouragement continues, where she would literally check on that one, whether she took her ARVs on time, whether she, adopt a healthy lifestyle in order to regain, and even through the medication to see the difference. The success story behind it is that in 2014, she started with the ARVs, and in 2017, this girl, with the follow-up visits to the ART clinics, they found that she was viral load suppressed, meaning she cannot transfer the virus to somebody else, meaning with HIV tests, it would not detect the HIV virus anymore. So that is a huge achievement. I want you to remember that's one of the global goals for 2030, viral load suppression. And here you have your staff member, by this opportunity of informing her and educating her on these things, now she can get exactly that which anyone who's HIV positive, I think, dream about, to become viral load suppressed. But looking back, I really want to express my sincere gratitude to our program manager, Eileen Lowe, who had the courage to walk the path with this lady, because they need encouragement. Remember the side effects of the medication, that's not easy. And remember, on top of it, you are hiding it from your family. So you cannot even take the medication while you're inside of the home. At that time, it was still a lot of pills at once. So people would ask, why are you drinking all those pills? And so in the process of support, there was also this one-on-one counselings between the two of them, where she really encouraged the lady, talk to your family, take them into your trust, and it's important for them to know. But the highlight and the glory that we give to God was about this lady being virally suppressed. And when she realized that, she also understood through the education that the ball is in her court now, to remain that way. Continue with the medication, continue with healthy living methods and behaviors, and she can live a healthy lifestyle like any other person. Another story is that one of our support group members, HIV positive, she's living in Okahanja Park, staying in a little shack, but from really leftover and damaged sink and stuff. So when in the rainy seasons, that place would be so wet with rain that flooded that little shack. The bedding, everything is soaked in water after a night of rain. So this person struggling with TB and all these things, constant coughing, and what we try to do is to, upon our house visits, also, update ourselves on their living conditions. We brought it to the King's Daughters Organization board meeting. One of the board members, Ms. Zagoni Gertze, she and her family opt to build a brand new sink house for that lady. And as they started it in 2017 also, I think, and by the end of December, they hand the lady the keys. And it has a floor, Oh, it's beautiful. It's just beautiful.
Yes.
And to that lady, it's like a palace.
No one can do this kind of work unless it is your purpose, unless it's your passion, it's within your core.
Yes.
And you and your team, having visited your offices and seeing the works that you have done, I have actually, let me admit this, I've met some people that have gone through your program who are now secretaries of some companies, and some of them, they have now successful marriages, and they are having children, and they're having good life. There may be some young girls, they are struggling, trying to go into this path of being a sex worker, or they are already there and are really hoping to come out and have a normal living. What would be your words?
My words would be that God has made you fearfully and wonderfully, and He has plans for you, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, to give you a hope and a future. So come to King's Daughters. We can take hands, we can help you. Yes, you may earn money, but at the end of the day, the loss of your self-worth, the loss of your self-image, the loss of your dignity, it's much more priceful than the sex work itself. God laid it on our hearts at the very beginning to not be judgmental and to give unconditional love. Come, let us help you. We are here, we want to help you, and together we can do more.
Ma'am, thank you so much for coming through and for sharing your story and the project that you're working on. We are very, very grateful, and we hope our viewers there get inspired and begin to live a life of contribution. The power of purpose. All things works together for good for those who love God and who are called according to His purpose. Whatever you might be going through, whatever you have gone through, from the dark, the bad, the ugly, the thorns, the broken glasses that you had to walk on, trust me, there is an alignment to make you and turn you into a greater being that you can be. You are born for a purpose. You are born for a destiny. These stories inspire us. I know you have a story out there and would love to hear it and be encouraged today, understanding about the King's Daughter.